Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And in overlanding or off-roading or even just any vehicle-based travel, occasionally you need to either recover a vehicle, a stuck vehicle, or tow one for some reason. And there are two different kinds of straps. There are dynamic straps and static straps. And a lot of tow straps, the ones you might buy at the gas station or Home Depot or something, are probably the static straps. They stretch very little. And that's what you want when you're towing a vehicle. You start out slow, you get both vehicles, up to speed, and then you motor on down the road. On the other hand, there are what are called dynamic straps. This is an ARB dynamic one. And what a dynamic one does is stretches somewhat like a rubber band and allows you to store energy inside the strap. And basically we've been in the outdoor community working with a lot of these synthetics. We don't use tow chains much anymore. You might use chains for tie downs, but not to pull a vehicle. But we've also moved away from a lot of the metal connections to those vehicles. These shackles here, you have to have the right size shackle. First you have to have a shackleable point on your vehicle, and then you have to have the shackle, which if you haven't used one of these, basically it's just a pin, allows you to slide into a receptacle, an eye of some kind, and then you can screw this on. I recommend not tightening it down because under load you can get a little bit of deformation. You can grab these obviously with a wrench and open it, but they don't have to be super tight. But better yet, let's just not even use these. They weigh a ton. They get old and rusty. These are newer ones here. But there are things called soft shackles. This is an example of a soft shackle. Basically, it's a piece of very special nylon rope. This is plasma rope, they call it. This one's rated to 45,000 pounds. And it is a very simple thing to use. Anything you can squeeze this through, which is an awful lot of stuff, you can attach this to, which also means be very careful. You don't want to grab a control arm or a tie rod or even an axle. You can do some pretty good damage. YouTube's packed with things about ripping bumpers off of cars and, busting things. But anyway, what these do is allow you super light, super efficient, super strong attaching to all kinds of different points. And we use them also in large ropes. I mean, this is my Bubba rope. This thing here is monstrous. This particular guy, for example, here's a radiator hose for my Tacoma. Nope, this one, I think this one's to my 4Runner. But it actually, this is, I think, bigger around than a radiator hose. And it's a beast. Now you have to size these according to the kind of vehicle that you want to pull or you want to basically snatch. Once you hook this up, you build up some slack in it, and then literally you take off. And when it's connected to another vehicle, slack gets pulled up. But rather than a really sharp, chain or static strap yank, which can damage things, this stretches and then distributes that energy. Actually builds up even more energy because you can use more of the forward momentum, and then distributes it over a longer amount of time, which generally allows you to easily lift or pull the vehicle that's stuck. But you don't want to use these for towing. People do it, and you can get away with all kinds of things, but that spring can create some issues. But overall, we're here to talk about these guys. Now, this is a Gator-Jaw. It's made by the Bubba Rope Company, and the Bubba Rope Company, it's an American company. This one is made in the USA by Bubba Rope. I love Bubba Rope stuff. There are some other popular brands out there that are really into building these kinds of soft shackles and dynamic ropes. But there are also a lot of other companies. This is an inexpensive one off of Amazon. This guy here, I think it was maybe 20 bucks. 20 bucks or less. This was $50 for this guy here. So don't let the dog get it. These here, I think I got a pair of them for maybe 20 bucks, something like that. There's all kinds. There's some for a lot less, and then they creep all the way up to Bubba Rope, which is probably the premier. But anyway, I've used these, and they show almost no wear. You can see a little bit of fraying out here from being stretched. They did come with these covers. I think that really is a great idea. They came with extra covers, you know, kind of thinking, I guess maybe you're going to keep using it outlasting the cover. But I pulled one of the covers off, and I think I'm going to put that on this Bubba Rope one just for some added protection. You can keep these clean and wash them. But anyway, all it is a special kind of sealed knot on one end. There's a loop where you can see they're tied together. But then on this end, there's some kind of unique rope work where you see the one rope moving actually through the other rope, kind of almost like an Escher design. This goes in here and then cinch it up, and there you go. That's it. It's basically, it gets tighter on the ball the harder you pull on it. These are exactly the same, but little sloppier material, but a lot less money. And they're also rated at incredible strengths, so I wouldn't be too worried about these. You know, early on, this one looks like it's a little more sun faded, but I would have no trouble trusting this, just simply because these materials at this size should be plenty good for moving the vehicles around. And oftentimes you're using two of them and you're distributing the weight. It depends on what the recovery's like. But I thought you should check those out, because a lot of people, as they get into overlanding, they go online and they look for overlanding gear. And, well, you could get this, what looks like a cheesy piece of nylon, or you could get, a great big manly looking shackle here. A lot of people have these hanging off their vehicles. I see a lot of them on hanging off of the tie-down straps that were probably used to move the car. There's a Smitty built here. Used to move the car from whatever country it was made into the U.S. And you'll probably break those off. That's another reason. This is much softer on the pole, so there's way less chance of injury, of damage. But a lot of people like the big heavy metal. I'm just pointing these out. If you haven't used soft shackles, consider them. That you can use them for all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be towing. I mean, it's pretty aggressive what you can do with these things. Super simple, great design. I mean, it's just like, this is so modern compared to how we've been doing things since the beginning of the Iron Age. And then if you really want to spring, there's all kinds of these dynamic ropes now. A couple of the more well-known ones, including Bubba Rope, are pricey compared to the inexpensive ones. But the reviews are coming in. I mean, it's pretty solid technology. And they make these things huge. I mean, you want to know how you pull a locomotive or an airplane or a ship? I mean, great big ropes. They make them for stuff like that. And then if you have to size it according to the vehicle, because if you have too big a rope, your vehicle won't be able to provide enough resistance to stretch the rope. So then it's going to act much like a static rope. So you have to, there's a weight class that you want to match with these. You don't match it with these, really. You just don't have to spend, more money for something that's way stronger than what you need. But anyway, I love this ARB strap. I'm trying to get rid of some of these. I do usually carry one because sometimes you want a metal connection just because it might be a real sharp piece of metal you're working with. You don't want to wreck your strap. But these are great. These are definitely worth it. And I'll put a link to both the inexpensive ones and the good Bubba Rope ones. And with that, Doc out.